think particularly young people, like my daughter, my oldest child is like Bernie Sanders, and my son does too. I have an 18 and a 20, and 2 older ones. They like Bernie Sanders because he's saying free tuition, which they're like, yeah. They like a lot of what he's saying. They don't have that baggage of socialism that, you know, people of my generation and older have that baggage with that word. So I think Bernie Sanders is going to do really well in Iowa and New Hampshire, but I think Hillary Clinton's probably going to win Iowa because they're very pragmatic for her primary, even though they're very liberal. And then I think she's just going to blow him out when you get to the states where there are black people and Hispanics. He doesn't have any traction right now with African Americans. I can't tell you, I can't say who it is, but he's got a big addition to his black sort of team that's coming on Friday. So he's going to try to step his game up and have more surrogates who are African American. I don't know if that's enough to overtake her. She has name recognition. She's been forgiven for what happened in '08 largely because she joined Barack Obama's team. And to the extent that I do still meet particularly black women who still are angry with her about what the Clintons did and said in '08, I think they are a minority within the black voter group. But they're a vocal, you know, she's got to win them over. But I just think Shader or the really sort of crusading progressive like a Bernie Sanders, because he never was. He's always been a moderate, pragmatic politician, and he is a politician. And a lot of the decision making on things like Keystone, which unions wanted and the president didn't, on things like high stakes testing, which for some reason the sort of access of Rahm Emanuel and the former education secretary just are really into this high stakes testing regime that a lot of teachers, my mother was a teacher and hated this idea. So I think they've been at odds with a lot of progressives and with a lot of union groups because of their policies, and definitely on the trade bill, on the TPP bill, you have a lot of opposition because, you know, NAFTA turned out really badly for unions, and so very few people are willing to trust even Barack Obama on that issue. So one of the things the administration will say and push back when you bring that up with them is they point out that in the stimulus bill, you know, one of the first things they did was protect the jobs of educators in the states with all of that money that was flowing in the states to keep teachers employed. And they'll point to things like that to say they have been good on that issue, but yeah, it is definitely there. I think it's interesting that a lot of the breaks with Barack Obama and Democrats are with the left or with liberals. Ironically enough, because he's being called a socialist by the right, but it's the left that he typically is. And when that verdict came down the way it did, I definitely think that, I know in my household, a lot of black people just said enough. And then when it happened again and again and again, it's always happened. It's just now these things are on tape. Now there are witnesses. I remember hearing about the Michael Brown case on Twitter when for hours and hours and hours his dead body was on my Twitter feed. You know, people were taking pictures of this dead person who was laying in the street like, you know, if you hit an animal in the street, they just lay there. And it was, I think it's been so searing for black people that you just have had a sense that enough is enough and that African Americans are not going to take it anymore from authority. So I think Black Lives Matter has been more, although they have protested black, you know, crime-based death. And you had like the mothers of people like Hadiya Pendleton come together with the mothers of Michael Brown and others, even when they met Hillary Clinton. They consider themselves a group of mothers who are together. So depending on where you're looking at it, but I think the core of it is the unspoken too, is the part that doesn't get talked about enough by my profession. It's Black Lives Matter too. It's not saying no one else's lives matter. It's saying that for once, African Americans want to be treated as full human beings. And that means in all walks of life. The biggest story today, I'm doing Lawrence O'Donnell's show later, and they're going to ask me what the biggest political story of the day is. But I'm going to say the biggest story of the day is what happened at Mizzou, at the University of Missouri, where literally this hunger strike, which is supported by the football team, which is worth millions and millions of dollars. Just a little statistic for you. The president who just stepped down from the University of Missouri was earning about $470,000 a year. The football coach earns about $1.4 million at the same college. So football runs this school, and 60% of the black students who are there on athletic scholarships, and 64% of the football team is black, even though 7% of the student body is black. So you're basically bringing black labor in, and without black labor, that school has no budget, that school has no money. Because the black labor of those men is funding the entire school. Is creating the highest paid positions in the school, is bringing millions and millions of advertising dollars in. Their free labor is doing that. And finally, you've had students, that's one thing when NFL players risk their contracts. to do it. These guys are risking their scholarships. If they don't play, they're on year-to-year scholarships. They can't even go to that school. So I think it's incredible that the football players, 33 of the football players, decide to risk everything to support this hunger strike. And I've never seen it happen, that a revolution such as this or a protest such as this brings down not just the president, but the chancellor too. I mean, it's revolutionary. It's huge. It's the governor, Governor Nixon has had to weigh in. And remember, this is only a few miles from Ferguson. So it's incredible. And, you know, what I say to when I met Walter Scott's mother, and it's hard to meet these moms. It's difficult for me to meet these mothers because it's heartbreaking because I'm a mother.